Hi everyone. I thought I would come on and do a video about some of the news stories of today and just some intuitive thoughts about it. Fridays are always pretty rough days here in the States because 45 always puts out some sort of crazy law that's gonna hurt people basically. And so, yeah, and I do think he does that. I've always felt like he does it on Friday because this is what it, okay, well, I just got this. At the end of the week, the panic sets in. What have I gotten done? And then everything happens all in like the last minutes of Friday. And so we're about to start our weekend, and he's just, people are like, Mr. President, Mr. President, you need to sign this. You need to do this horrible thing. You said you would do this horrible thing and sign this executive order, yada, yada, for entertainment purpose only. And so he gets it all done on Friday. The rest of the week, he's doing a lot of schmoozing and meeting people and all these things. And bad stuff happens on those days too, but Friday is when the quota happens, and it all like piles up and he gets it all done. He signs everything, agrees to everything, and then it comes out in the news. President said, this group's going to be targeted and this city's going to be targeted. And so I feel like that's why it's Friday, but I also do feel like they like to ruin people's weekends and have us go off on our happy, merry weekend with our family and be miserable and sad and scared. So, and then Monday starts a whole new week of big planning the terror, basically, from him. Now this Friday, so Hegseth said something that hasn't been completely proven true. We don't know if this is true, but Hegseth, there's a video where he says they're going to allow Qatar to build a military, like, aircraft hangar airport thing in America. So basically 9/11 terrorists who crashed airplanes into the Twin Towers are going to be allowed to have a military base in America. So that has yet to be proven 100% true. But, when I asked Spirit, I got that, yeah, they would do it. I mean, how we always said that wouldn't happen. Now we're at the point where, like, if it's bad, they're probably trying to do it because we are in the upside down right now. So I get yes, and that they're going to try, but that there will be obviously major, not sanctions. I did hear the word sanctions, so maybe, I don't know, but things to stop it from happening because it's security clearance, security issue. The other thing is the Nobel. He didn't win. Now, just like with his legal cases where he and his lawyers wouldn't, like Alina Habba wouldn't submit things in time, like when she was supposed to submit that they wanted to have certain evidence or jury members, and she didn't, and then they complained the whole, you didn't allow us to because you didn't submit the query for it in time. So I feel like this whole thing with the Nobel, they said that he wasn't even in contention for the prize because he didn't submit things in time. I mean, you have to do like over a year ago. So he didn't win. A woman, I believe, from Venezuela, her name is Maria, I don't know her whole name, with all due respect, she won. And she already put out a nice message to him. And it was like, oh, what does that mean? Why would she want to work with Trump? She doesn't, but she knows how to play the game, and she's placating him because she knows that if she doesn't do that, he could really mess with her in Venezuela, and she's trying to bring peace. And part of peace sometimes is playing the game, unfortunately. So, and of course, he's probably really upset now. He, 45, had to go to Walter Reed, not for his annual. He said, my semi-annual. When has he ever had a semi-annual trip to Walter Reed that we know of, like scheduled exam? This is different. I said it the other day. I feel it very strongly that with his cognitive issues and this paranoia, things about Oregon and such, he's just creating this huge word salad of paranoia every day. They're coming to get me. They're coming to get me. Maybe the whole thing that happened to Charlie K, which I believe he was part of, he knew it. He didn't plan it, but he knew about it. That anyone who went against him and tried to have and didn't have their loyalty for him was potentially going to be taken out. I really feel that for entertainment purpose only. But 45 knows that as I've always said, the arrow could turn to you. You point the arrow at one person, one day it could turn to you. So it's almost like a dog eat dog, crazy wild, we're in the Wild West. So 45 is really paranoid. He's paranoid about other world leaders. He's paranoid about his own people, about citizens. He's paranoid about, yeah, I don't know why Oregon. I do feel like they showed him videos. I think he's remembering in 2020 when there was a lot of protests in California and Portland, in San Francisco, because of the whole thing with Black Lives Matter. And then they sent their black ops out. Bannon sent out the black ops, and then people were kidnapped and gassed and all these things. So for entertainment purposes, but we saw it was on video, it happened. But he's remembering that. He's having almost like a Alzheimer's, where he's remembering things as if it was yesterday and saying these things are happening, and they're not, because they're showing the video in Portland. It's peaceful. And we have an American right to protest. Protests are different from like looting and throwing bricks and Molotov cocktails. I mean, protests are an American right. It's the freedom of speech. He confuses that. He thinks everyone's out to get him. He's really afraid. And I think Kristi Noem is really afraid. And MTG has, and I said this about her, I said that they could come after her and other people, that Charlie's unaliving was a message to anyone who would dissent from 45, and that they could be a target. Well, so everybody's paranoid, and 45 has had this delusion and this dementia. Ooh, did you see that big orb? I love seeing confirmation from spirit. I love that. Don't love what I'm talking about, but I love confirmation from spirit. So that was nice to see an orb. So that was at what, 6:44, I think we saw it. Thank you, spirit. And I've, this whole time, for the last 10 minutes before I even started, there's this cardinal out in the yard right by the window, and it's just sitting there facing the window. It has not flown away. It did get up on a stick for a while, which is really cute, but it hasn't left, and I feel that there's something to that. Anyway, so everybody's paranoid, but I think with 45, what I did some remote viewing, and they sent him, they said, it wouldn't hurt, because he's saying paranoid stuff all day. And we need to do this to this city and send the army, and they're coming to get me. He's really scared. He's scared of his own shadow at this point. And he's even afraid of the McDonald's that he eats, and see, he can't even eat the McDonald's anymore. He was eating the McDonald's, one, because he loved it, because he's gluttonous. Two, because it was very controlled food. He had his own chefs. So he didn't get outside interference, tampering, but he's even afraid of that, and he can't even eat that stuff anymore because he's not feeling well, and his own body is screaming out, don't eat that stuff. And he's afraid that his food was tampered with, and so he's living in a world parent. So the people around him are really concerned, and like, sir, in his own language, sir, you need to get a cognitive exam. We need to have you do an exam. And also, it's like, to tell the American public, see, nothing's wrong with him. Look, we had another exam. It said he's perfect, which nobody's perfect. I don't know if I already said this. I probably have, but his father, see, I did another video, so I may have already said this, but his father had dementia, and they, at one point, the people who worked for his father, Fred Frump, created a mock office for him to work in, and let him work in there every day, and pretended and told him, great job, and I feel like that's happening with 45. They're beginning to do the same, where he has this fake office in the Oval Office, and they're having him sign stuff, like Miller is using him. So anyway, the people who really care about him, that have some sense of decency, are having him do this cognitive design, and it's gone on all day. So far, I haven't heard any results. And, of course, they think it'll come out, he's perfect weight, perfect height, perfect everything, another orb. Of course, nobody's perfect. I think I already said that, but whatever. But what they're going to find, and what they're going to have to say is, well, we did find a problem with his heart. Again, it's advanced. And remember, because before they said he had the chronic vein thing, which is related to the heart, but they're going to say he has cognitive and heart issues. Remember I said brain, stomach, heart. Brain, stomach, heart. It's all connected. And they're going to work on his diet and give him medication and exercise. And they're actually going to have to admit today around 5 o'clock that he has more than just a vein issue. There's heart issue, and there is some dementia. Now, they may not tell us that. They're going to talk about the heart. That's what I really feel. They're going to talk about the heart, and then the exercise and the food, etc. Even President Reagan had to have special, people starting to take over. And somebody said something really interesting. I don't know. It was one of the readers. I believe it was one of the readers here on YouTube. I could be wrong. It might have been a commenter, like a news commenter, but she said that at one point that Kamala was president when Biden was sick. So she actually was president. I just like to point that out. And she technically did win, as we all know, for entertainment purposes only, but that cardinal is still here. It's still staring at the window. That's crazy and beautiful. I think I'm about done. Anything else? No, real quick. Did I say the whole thing with the quota, that they like to terrorize us on Fridays because that's the end of the quota of the week, and then they start Monday, with new things to terrorize with? The states are holding firm. Chicago has safe places. Not that, anyone would respect that, but they are creating safe spaces and safe laws, which will spread. I did say this. I said that 45 was going to try to send out everywhere. He was testing test areas like Chicago, California, etc., and now in Portland. And that these were going to be test areas, and it really depended on how people and how the law and the mayors, etc., responded. And they really had to up their game because it would stop him. And they really are showing, like Gavin Newsom really set the precedent for this is how you deal with it. And then Chicago, and now Portland, and etc. And Portland has the whole frog thing, the frog resistance, which I love. So I just heard you are safe. The other day when he was, I think it was Sunday night, when he was going to send all the militia, blah, 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 all over the states and martial law, blah, blah, blah. And he may still do this insurrection act, but I feel he'll be stopped, and Spirit just said you were safe. Okay. But when he was doing that, I got worried like everyone else, and I prayed. And it was like I prayed, and right after I prayed, and I lay down in bed and I checked the news on my phone, and it said that he had been stopped. The courts had stopped him. Like that one lawyer, that female lawyer, judge, had stopped him. And I was like, prayer, we can't always make it work. It really depends on, because the universe has plans too, and there's things we have to go through to learn. Our higher self wants to learn things. But prayer really does work. So please remember you have the power to pray and co-create. That's something that I want to talk about, which I probably already did, but real quick before I go. So remember this all weekend, no matter what you hear, what they leave us with on the weekend here, then I have to go to work. But that the thing about it is, with religion, is the one reason why we're seeing a lot of this cult thing is that people believe that God is outside of them and is this higher power, male figure with punishment out above them and outside of them. This male, brutal, dominant figure up in the clouds that's going to strike us down all the time. And the truth is, God's inside of us. You can't find God outside. Yes, outside, inside, outside, inside. But with religion and cults, the problem is they keep trying to find this guy outside of themselves. It's in you. And so what happens is when they're looking for someone outside of themselves, they're prone to believing fake gods like 45 and Jim Jones and all these, Flittler and all these people. When the rest of us have, and that it's okay to do these horrible things to other human beings, and the rest of us are going inside to the God inside of us, and we're all connected and all part of the universe, and that's love. And someone tried to tell me, "No, that's not right. That's earthly." Like, dude, I went through it in my childhood. My father was in a cult. He misused the Bible. He misused religion. And all the while he was putting the fear of God in me and my mother, and I watched him beat up my mother, knock her tooth out, and he threatened to kill animals in the neighborhood and told me I was the devil and I couldn't go to the bathroom and all these things. Meanwhile, he's popping pills and having an affair on the side, and every time my mother got pregnant with one of us, he told us to have an abortion, yet he'd be in this cult today telling women the abortion is murder. He was telling my mother to abort all of us. So these people, I have to say it, a lot of people in these religions, especially this cult, and they're all the same, they're all hypocrites. They just use words of someone higher than them, outside of them, to justify their fear and their powerlessness and their need to control others. When the rest of us are going inside to this quiet knowing of what our inner truth is, and our inner truth is a truth, and it's a connected truth, and that is God, that's the universe. And when we go inside and the world is chaotic around us, and this may cut off any minute, when there's horrible things happening to people around us, and other people are saying it's okay to do horrible things to people because, and they try to justify it with a religion or whatnot, a law. And then inside, no, it's not okay. They don't like, just how they had all the rallies and the groups and all these things and the propaganda to keep in Fox News, to keep everyone all brainwashed, because they don't want you to go inside. They don't want you to go inside and hear the voice of truth. They only want you to hear their voice, which really is a really dark, powerless, fearful voice from something outside of themselves. But inside is the quiet and the peace and the truth. And we all know inside what the truth is and what is right and what is wrong. And I'll just say again that prayer is good, or just good thoughts, good manifestations. It doesn't have to be prayer. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye.